Pinellas County detectives say a man armed with a machete is getting treated for life-threatening injuries tonight after getting shot by a deputy. It happened overnight near the shops of Boot Ranch Plaza on East Lake Road in Palm Harbor. Detectives say Sergeant Christopher Metro pulled over a man in the parking lot for driving erratically. They say when James Gauze got out of his car, he threatened the deputy with a machete. According to investigators, the deputy tried to get the suicidal suspect to drop the knife, and when he refused, the deputy shot him. Gauze was taken to Bayfront Medical Center for surgery. Well, we have seen it now 3 times in the last 30 days. Officers call it suicide by cop. Our John Thomas goes in depth to see how it affects officers when faced with a life or death decision.
Pinellas County Chief Deputy Bob Gualtieri will tell you it is not a situation that any of his deputies working on the street want to find themselves in.
When the deputies are faced with a situation, they're not faced with a situation where they know that somebody wants to, as you framed it, commit suicide by cop.
Without any hard stats, it's hard to say if suicide by cop is happening more often. But let's take a look at the last 30 days in the Bay Area. June 28th, also in Palm Harbor. 3 Pinellas County deputies are forced to shoot 73-year-old Edward DeGrande after he turns a gun on them, a gun that he was first pointing at himself. June 30th, Largo, a police officer is forced to use deadly force after 18-year-old Nicholas Presser comes at him with a knife. Then, July 12th, Tampa. Responding to a man threatening to kill himself, a TPD officer has no other choice but to fire at that man when he turns and points a gun at officers. That man, 74-year-old Umberto Ferrara, would die a few days later in the hospital.
What they're faced with is a situation where somebody is acting as an aggressor toward them and threatening their life and their safety. And so they have to take appropriate action to defend themselves.
So what is done for these law enforcement officers, put in a position where they truly have no other choice but to defend themselves?
We have a psychological services coordinator here on staff, and we have an employee assistance program, and we have a lot of support systems in place and an infrastructure in place to make sure that they get whatever help that they need and that they're cleared before they come back to work.
For each, they handle it much differently. It's something that is personal to each, but in the end, each will head back to work.
Absolutely, because that's what we do.